Welcome to our June 25th, 2020 Board of Education meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Ms. Kraft will lead us with our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Hi, thank you. So I'm reading from We Are Teachers, Ideas, Inspiration, and Giveaways for Teachers. Try to make it a little lighthearted. Summer break, the glorious time of year when teachers hopefully have at least a little time to unwind, detox, de-stress, regroup, relax, and reconnect. Or some like to think of it as the sweet light at the end of the tunnel that prevents teachers from losing their minds. We compiled some of the best agenda items for teachers on summer break. And for those teachers who work year-round, work a second job in the summer, or have schedules dictated by their own kids, we hope you can figure out a way to incorporate at least some of these suggestions, a mini lesson, say versus a whole unit of study, into your life this summer. Number one, go into a Netflix binge-induced coma. Clean, organize, and otherwise get that personal space together. Probably, okay, well, maybe. Indulge in glorious daily naps and feel not one bit guilty about it. Read books that have zero to do with teaching. Trade in that giant teacher bag for a teeny tiny purse. Go to the chiropractor and see if they can fix my jacked up back. Wear flip-flops, only flip-flops. Swim, play, eat, sleep, repeat. Think about tackling all those projects I said I would do next summer. Fire my alarm clock. Let my face look upon the sun instead of fluorescent lights. Not worry about anybody's behavior except my own. Walk in as crooked a line as I want to. Not count heads whenever I go out in public with a group of people. Actually socialize with grown-ups on Friday nights and enjoy my weekends instead of racing through them trying to accomplish everything I didn't have time for during the week. Make complete actual meals with no lame substitutions because I don't have that one crucial item and I have no time to go to the grocery store. Embrace my hair in its natural state. In other words, no hot tools and sticky products. Spend 0 minutes in a rush hour traffic. Run errands when other people are working, and honestly, feel a tiny bit superior when I do it. Take a break from my feud with a copy machine, go to the bathroom whenever and as often as I want, and spend more than 20 minutes eating lunch. So I hope you will try to have some of those things that you can do. So can we stand and do the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce to you our new interim superintendent, Dr. Matt Lutz. And he is taking the ball and he's running with it. He's been in this position for 9 days now. And boy, have we thrown a lot of topics his way and a lot of decision making, and he's done a fabulous job with stepping in the shoes of our previous superintendent, Mark Stefanik. He moved back home to Ohio to be close to family. But thank you, Dr. Lutz.
Thank you, Chairman Etheridge. I appreciate the opportunity, and it's been quite the 9 days, and what a first board meeting for about 2 years.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, so item H, we're going to still have on action.
No, we're going to make the motion that to table.
I make a motion to table item H, include mobile units in school capacity. We're going to table that.
I second that.
I would like to add an item to the agenda. I would like to have a discussion on COVID-19 grading ramifications.
Madam Chair, there's a motion's been made and seconded already to table
Yes.
one item. I would suggest that they take action on that first and then address Ms. Rose's.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor, and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Rose?
I'd like to make a motion that we add COVID-19 grading ramifications for discussion to the agenda.
Well, I'll second that, so we can have discussion if we need to.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, do we have somebody here that can speak competently to that topic?
Well, we have our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Instruction.
Okay.
Is she here?
Okay. All right, we have a first, we have a second. Any further discussion? Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
I think we did, yeah. All right. So we're going to add COVID-19 grading ramifications. Ms. Dowdy, are you prepared to maybe speak to that? Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, our next order of business.
Madam Chairman?
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we now approve the agenda
okay.
as modified.
Modified agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second it for the purpose of discussion on the consent agenda. Are we approving the whole agenda, or does that include the consent agenda too?
No, we'll do the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a first, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Our next order of business is the extension of the public comment period. Is there a motion to approve or extend the normal 30-minute period for public comment to 90 minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm curious as to why we just don't exercise, I believe it's 2450, where we could just suspend that policy, and we don't have to have a time limit on it at all.
All right, we have our board attorney, Neil Ramey, on the Google meeting right now. If Mr. Ramey would like to speak to that question.
Certainly, Madam Chair, your policy on public comment says the board can simply, by majority vote, extend the time for public comment. So that's the motion that's been made and seconded. I suppose it would be possible to suspend the policy altogether. That would require a 2/3 vote. But the motion's been made and seconded to triple the normal time for public comment.
So if we
Okay.
don't approve this,
All right. All in favor?
Of the 90
90 minutes.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any further discussion?
I'm opposed. I'd like to not restrict it at all. I'd like to
Okay.
just suspend the policy.
All
and
right.
I agree, if we can suspend it and have unrestricted, then I would be in favor of that, so I would vote no to this.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to, Dr. Domney, you're for, Ms. Kraft, for, 2 against. I'm going to say, for this meeting only, we're going to extend the public comment to 90 minutes instead of the 30 minutes. Motion carries. It is now time for the public comment portion of our meeting. Speakers will be called in order they signed up. Presentations will be limited to 3 minutes per person. In fairness to others who wish to speak, it is important that each person stop as soon as their time has expired. As a reminder, this is a business meeting and we have some important matters to take action on here today. Unless you are speaking during public comment, please remain quiet so that the business may be conducted. For those of you who may not be familiar with public comment, please understand that board members will not be responding to your comments today. The purpose of public comment is for us to hear your points of view, not to engage in a back and forth conversation. Whatever topic you choose to address, please remember that this is a public meeting of a unit of local government. As with all such meetings, it is important that we preserve order and decorum. Please also remember that we are a public school system, and children may be in attendance or watching from home. I ask that we all model civility and respect in our words and our actions today. All points of view are welcome, but insults and personal attacks are not appropriate. Before we begin, I know that many of you are here to discuss the board's decision not to offer a new contract to Currituck County High School Principal Brian Matney. I want to say two quick things about confidentiality before we get started. First, I want to remind any school system employees who may be here today that they are free to share their personal impressions of Dr. Matney, but should be very careful not to disclose any confidential personnel information about Dr. Matney or other employees. This would include information about performance, evaluations, evidence submitted in personnel hearings, or other matters included in someone's personnel file. Second, for those asking for a public explanation of the board's decision, I want to remind you that the board must follow personnel privacy laws and is making every effort to be respectful of Dr. Matney's privacy. While I'm not able to share the specific reasons the board decided not to offer Dr. Matney a new contract, I can share that the board reached this decision after a hearing that lasted more than 5 hours, during which both the superintendent's office and Dr. Matney were represented by attorneys, and at which both sides had the opportunity to present documents and call and cross-examine witnesses. After the more than 5-hour hearing, the board deliberated in private for over an hour and made a decision based on the evidence presented. I'd like to call Sidney McDonald to the podium.
Good evening. Is there a microphone anymore? Awesome sauce. As you all should know, my name is Sidney McDonald. I recently in the past years have had the honor to sit in a chair right over there and allow my voice to be heard not only for me, but for every student in this county. I am not saying just for the high school. I am not just saying for my class. I am saying for every student, future and past. I'm standing here tonight hoping my voice has not become faint and is able to still be heard over all the screaming in our county currently. I understand decisions have been made and minds have been made up. But please go into the rest of this evening with open ears, minds, and hearts. I happily will be attending Mount Olive University next year with most of my expenses paid for. I can thank in part many people for this blessing of mine. But one person that I can thank and hold closest to my heart is Dr. Matney and his family. He and his wife sponsor a scholarship in honor of their fathers, and they have chosen to give this scholarship to not just someone in our county, but to someone at the castle, a place that Dr. Matney holds very close to his heart. He has chosen to do this because he does not just see that our school is containing great excellence in students, but he has chosen to do this because he believes in the future of our students and he believes that we can succeed. This is just one way that Dr. Matney can show the true character that shines through each day at our castle. He is a man with so much care to give and so much love in his heart that I feel like it is bound to explode sooner or later. He cherishes what we have in our close-knit community and realizes the struggle that some of our students may face. We see him in the halls with a smile. We see him every morning at the door with a smile. We see him at sporting events with a smile. And no matter what he's going through, I can assure you that that smile will stay on his face as it has continued through this time. Please understand, so many of us tonight are here to speak on his behalf and on ourselves. He was not just an everyday principal to us. He became a friend. As a graduating senior, I want to leave the future Knights hope at the castle. This county and our students need consistency. Please reconsider taking this away from us. Consistency is important, but not only consistency of excellence. He sees hope for our school. He sees a future. He is bringing our school to where we need to be and allowing our students opportunities that we may have never had and have not had in the past. The education system is not just supposed to be about complete learning and discipline. It is about gaining connection with the people, students, and administration around you. No student, not even one, will feel the need to learn or even a need to come to our school if they don't have a connection with someone there that makes them want to learn. That's all I have to say tonight, because I don't want to repeat what many people have already said to you or will say to you later. And I do not mean this in any way. I just want you to know that I am here fighting for the future of our school, and I will continue to do so until I am told I cannot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sidney. Next, we have Anita Rubino. Is Anita here? Okay. Oh, there she is. Hi.
Good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Lutz. We're here tonight as the Arts Department from Currituck County High School to ask on behalf of our retired colleague, Buddy White, that you consider naming the auditorium housed at Currituck County Middle School after Mr. White for his incredibly long tenure, creativity, and dedication to the performing arts across the board in our county. We'd like to erect a plaque outside of the auditorium, and simply put, we'd like to have on the plaque the Buddy White Auditorium in honor of his creativity, tenure, and dedication to the performing arts of Currituck County Schools. I'm going to hand this over to Tiffany. She'd like to tell you a little bit more about the impact that he's made, not just on the students, but on herself personally.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight on behalf of a colleague and a friend, Buddy White. And so I have a personal connection with Buddy White. You know, people say all the time, God puts people in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And the true answer to what Buddy is in my life is D, all of the above. And so it starts with his first year of teaching here in Currituck County Schools. He spent 6 years at JP Knapp at the beginning of his career, at which time he was a beginning teacher, and it was his first year of teaching and my first year in band. So Mr. White and I, our friendship started really as a student-teacher relationship. From the very get-go. He was my first inspiration in music and one of the very reasons why I'm a music teacher today. And so that has meant a lot to me. 6 years into JP Knapp, and then he moved over to the high school. So he spent the next 22 years at Currituck County High School, beginning in the old building and ending in the new. That's a total of 28 years that this gentleman spent dedicating his time and his art and his craft to the students of Currituck County, as well as to the community, and what an impact he's made on every single one of us. From a student all the way to my mentor when I first became a brand new teacher at Currituck County High School, all the way to a friend and a colleague. And so just see it so fitting that auditorium and that space might have a plaque in his honor as he's celebrating his retirement. And on a side note, as much as my heart goes out to the graduating class of 2020 and things that they've missed out on the end, my heart equally goes out to retirees at this time. And so what an powerful impact that would make. And he does not know that we're having this conversation with you now. But what a great way to celebrate that man and everything he's done for our county, for all of the performing arts. And now I'll turn it over to Mary Elise.
In addition to the students that he worked with during his time as a teacher, he put on 43 shows using 1,138 students, not including the students that were in his classes. So he has made an impact on so many lives, including mine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your consideration.
We will definitely consider
Madam
that.
Chairman?
Yes.
Since I was the one that originally hired me, I would like to ask that we put this on the next board agenda.
Yes. I second.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. He's done so much for our community. Okay, next we have Miss Dana Parker.
Good evening. On behalf of teachers, students, and the nearly 1,000 petitioners, I stand before you to thank you for your service and to say that it's unfortunate that we have to be here tonight. Despite the narrative presented by our former superintendent, we are here today for one simple reason. In the midst of a pandemic, the superintendent decided that his focus should be the dismissal of a principal that parents, students, staff, and the community overwhelmingly support. While Ms. Dowdy and Dr. Lutz were carrying the load for our district, our former superintendent dedicated his last few months to a personnel investigation on a principal that has finally increased test scores and actually is moving towards getting us an accredited high school. We are here tonight because Mark Stefanik took a gamble, and he thought that Dr. Matney would just step aside, that he would step aside like the 31 other principals we have had in the last 6 years in our county. Just principals, 31 different ones. That is correct. But Dr. Matney refused to because he is dedicated to CCHS. Throughout this process, the majority of citizens have remained respectful. We have been vocal, and that has made some of you very uncomfortable. But you need to remember that you're elected officials that are held accountable at the ballot box, and you have a responsibility to communicate with your constituents. Your silence during all of this has been deafening. With that said, despite our differences, I still remain hopeful. The questions that need to be answered should be addressed to Mr. Stefanik, yet the board has been left to clean up this mess. Question number 1. Why was a personnel inquiry done with a small number of staff members while the majority of people at CCHS have yet to be heard? When I walked into school the Monday after, there were teachers crying in the hallway that had no idea what had happened because no one bothered to ask him. Had the personnel inquiry been focused on those supportive staff members, your narrative would have been different. But perhaps that's not the narrative that Mr. Stefanik wanted. Number 2, why didn't the previous superintendent present the North Carolina Workforce Survey to the board? The data showed 70% of CCHS employees happy with their work environment. Again, it did not fit his narrative. Most importantly, because there are legal ramifications for our school system. How will the board rectify that there are people in this room tonight whose support of Dr. Matney were misrepresented to you? They were presented as opposition when they are vocal supporters. This goes to the very validity of the investigation. Again, there is deep concern that you were put in a position to make a decision with false information. In closing, we all know that we cannot discuss private personnel information, and that helps us know that the accusations against Dr. Matney could have not been that serious because you had him lead 2 graduation ceremonies, and he still showed up for work today. We understand that you were put in this situation, but you have an amazing opportunity to set the standard for your next superintendent, that you believe that there is an expectation that a thorough, fair process should be followed with all personnel matters. I am asking that a member of this board make a motion to reopen the discussion on the renewal of Dr. Matney. We do not need to waste our time during a pandemic looking for a principal when we have a qualified one sitting at the castle. We are asking for a 1-year contract and give him an opportunity to work on the concerns that were addressed from those staff members. Allow him to do what we tell teachers to do every day, to talk. Parents are supposed to talk to teachers when they have a concern. Why didn't these teachers go talk to their boss? Please allow him a 1-year contract and allow our new superintendent to address concerns and continue the improvements at CCHS. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. I ask that the people that step up to the podium, please be mindful of your time limit. We do have a 90-minute extended, but I'd like to be able to get as many people up to the podium as possible. And you'll see the buttons on the box there that that's the timer for the 3 minutes. Okay, next we have Mark Whedon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mark Whedon, and for 24 years I've had the privilege of teaching automotive technologies at Currituck County High School. I too believe, we need a strong principal at CCHS to ensure a well-rounded and well-prepared student body. Someone who believes all students are deserving of our best regardless of their GPA or aspirations. All of my CTE, which is vocational courses, career and technical education, colleagues are keenly aware that our classrooms are very expensive and most of our students are not Ivy League material. However, these students find success in life on their own terms. My program has been honored with many accolades, We built the world's first biodiesel-powered Harley-Davidson. That was all by the students. We did the electrical vehicle challenge, and we were national winners. We have many students, I can think of 6 offhand, that were making $100,000 a year in the automotive industry within 6 years of graduating my program. So there's quite a bit of successes. Also, last year, the #1 technician in all of General Motors was one of my graduates, and he's actually in Elizabeth City doing that. He received that honor. And of course, many business owners working on cars in their mid to late 20s, and still many of them doing well. We have never had a principal that did not make themselves familiar with my program, as it is the most expensive classroom in our entire school system. Every principal we have had at CCHS came to understand and support established student safety practices and policies, until Brian Matney. In the 2 years Brian Matney has been our principal, he has never once visited or observed any of the 3 programs that are located over at the middle school. Agricultural mechanics, and the automotive technology class, my class. I guess there just weren't enough advanced placement students in those programs to warrant his attention. So I'm here to support the board. I know you made your decision, and I know it's final, and it might not be popular with many of the people waiting to talk after I am. But I know you did your homework. I know it was a tough decision. And since I've been here this long, I think I get some insights on many different levels, and I wanted to thank you for doing your homework. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Whedon. Next, we have Kimberly Mawhinney.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, control office staff. My name is Kimberly Mawhinney, and I'm a 15-year chemistry teacher at Currituck High School. And I do teach AP chemistry, but I would like to state before I start that yes, Dr. Matney has been in my classroom, but it was not during my AP time. It was actually during Earth Science time that he came in to see my class. While you might not see me sitting here at board meetings, I watch every single board meeting online because it is a teacher's duty to know not what is only going on in their school, but within the district. The other thing that a teacher is supposed to do, according to North Carolina DPI evaluation system, number 1, section D, is to advocate for their students and their schools, which is why I'm standing here today. We are supposed to advocate for positive changes and policies. It is clearly in black and white. Dr. Matney is that change that we needed. He has always been very personable, and he's treated all of us like professionals. I've heard teachers say, well, we didn't have a lot of staff meetings. But I will say this, these are the same teachers who would complain that we had a staff meeting. So there's no way to get around that. Some of what I was going to say was already said, so I'm going to skip that part. But I do stand here before you as one of the voices of the majority of teachers. I noticed, or I know that according to your hearing, that only 19 of 103 staff members were asked their opinion. And so that's less than 20%. I implore you to listen to the other staff members, not just staff, custodians, cafeteria workers, guidance office workers. They all signed a petition that somebody in our community who is held in high respect, Mr. Griffin, actually put out himself. And you don't see Mr. Griffin get involved in stuff like that very often. So when he does, you know that it is something that needs to be looked at. One of the most important factors in leadership is humility. Dr. Matney actually shows that humility. He put on 2 separate graduations, all while going through all of this stuff. And he said, it's not about me, it's about the kids. That's why I'm here. And that shows integrity to me. Integrity is doing what is right even when no one is looking. Nobody saw what happened to that hearing. Nobody knows what happened to that hearing. You know, and I'm not here to judge. Just because I disagree doesn't mean I disrespect you. There's a fine line between those two. but I'm hoping that you will respect the voices of the students who come up here today, the teachers who come up here today, the staff members who come up here today, and open up back another round of something that can be done for Dr. Matney to be reinstated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mawhinney. We appreciate your concerns. Ms. Kalani Richardson.
Good evening. I'm Kalani Richardson, the student who started the petition against the non-renewal of Dr. Matney. Sorry. Before I begin my statement, I would like to say that my thoughts on Dr. Matney have already been stated. In fact, I brought my petition today before you so that you could take a look at it. I'm here today to express my feelings on the circumstances before us, but I'm also here to give voice to others who are afraid to express theirs. I'm sure many of you know the inspirational monk Gandhi. What some of you might not be aware of is that he is what is known as a political ethicist. You might be wondering, what does that mean? Why is she talking about Gandhi? This has no relation. Well, let me enlighten you. Political ethics is the practice of making moral judgments about political action and political agents. There are two main areas that this covers. One is known as the ethics of office, which deals with public officials and the methods they use. The other is known as public policy or ethics of policy. This concerns the judgments about policies and laws. Today, we are practicing a form of political ethics. We are standing before public officials, speaking our truths and our thoughts. Today, we rise amongst our fears in order to claim what is rightfully ours. Why are we afraid? These are the officials, they work for us, they speak for us. So why are we afraid to say something to change a policy when that is our job in a democracy? You should never fear your superiors. Fear leads to control. And staff, you have lived in fear for years to speak against actions or policies you knew were wrong. You have let people control you for far too long. It's not right that when you say something, something happens to you or your family. That is not democracy. The truths are that Dr. Matney should be renewed. There's a complete difference in the school because of him, for he brought a community together. Instilling excellence is not a crime. Having a nationally accredited school can actually improve our county. Firstly, other counties around us are already accredited, so why aren't we? And secondly, an accreditation is good for economic progression and growth. More businesses become more willing to set up in our area. We will have more money for community programs like homeless shelters, healthcare facilities, and more. Even our school programs will finally have the money they need in order to do basic things they never could do before. This county doesn't care about progression. It only cares about a shiny penny in their pocket. The only way to break from this never-ending regression is to start small. This simple renewal can change everything. With Matney in place, he can push for the National Honor Societies and advanced placement courses towards accreditation. He can keep the sense of community alive, and a county that stands for nothing, let's stand for this. No more fear, no more control. Renew Matney and push for progression. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jessica Richardson? Good evening.
I'm Jessie Richardson. I work for a nationally accredited child advocacy center. My background is in developmental pediatrics and medical administration. I take my role as an advocate for all children very seriously, at work, home, and everywhere in between. My sole purpose for speaking tonight is to lend a voice to the many students who have expressed how upset they are that Dr. Matney was not reinstated. I have been heavily involved in many roles in Currituck for the past 13 years. Remediation assistance for Moyac Elementary School, MES School Improvement Board, class mom, PTA and PTO secretary, Girl Scout leader, Band Booster Executive Board, Athletic Booster members. You get it, I've spent a lot of time with these kids. To say they come to me for their triumphs and their tribulations is an understatement. While serving in these many roles, I have met very many long-lasting friendships with staff from the majority of the Currituck schools. My goal here is to lend a voice to them tonight, as they have expressed that they are afraid to speak out for fear of retaliation from what they have seen in the past or experienced their own self. I have personally witnessed a dynamic, positive shift in both students and staff morale for the past 2 years underneath of Dr. Matney's leadership. He has the unique ability to personally connect with students, families, and staff, and still maintain the ability to discipline or not agree on a matter and still be professional. The staff satisfaction survey was at 87.4% this year. He established the very first National Honor Society at our high school with the intentions to add more. He has strived to add more AP classes and get our school accredited, all to offer more opportunities to our students. Please explain to me why he was not reinstated. The turnover rate for our teachers and principals in this district is appalling. Statistics prove that children and employees need consistency. Inconsistencies and uncertainties create chaos. This pandemic has done nothing but prove that to us. Please know that whether you choose to reinstate him or not, the citizens are now aware of where you stand. They are aware that CCHS is not accredited, and they're mad. We are going to continue to fight for the best interest of our children. Remember that you are all elected officials. Whoever does not act in the best interest of our children, we do plan to vote you out. Every person, 935 to be exact. Some of them are new 18-year-olds, first-time voters. They're going to remember where you stood. Thank you for your time and opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. We now have Jesse Riordan.
Hello and good evening, Currituck County School Board of Education members. I would like to start by thanking you for allowing me the time to speak today. My name is Jesse Riordan, and I'm a former student of Currituck County High. On behalf of the contract renewal of Dr. Matney, I would like to share my personal experiences with this influential man. In the fall of my sophomore year of high school, I packed my bags and moved my entire life down to here to Currituck. I was no longer going to graduate with the students I had known and grown up with for the entirety of my school career. This was a very vulnerable, difficult time in my life, as I'm sure you can understand. Sorry, y'all, I'm nervous. You can understand, sorry. Thankfully, new friends, as well as extraordinary staff members, most of which are here today, helped me feel more comfortable in my new school. However, it was not until my senior year that I felt at home. Dr. Matney created a personal relationship with me, something that no previous principal had ever done before. He held the door open for all of his students every day and wished them a good morning. This is a demonstration of leadership, integrity, and personal connection that I've never seen before. He truly cares about his students. Dr. Matney is not the type of principal who sits behind a desk all day. He is a proactive member of Currituck High, someone who truly cares about the well-being of his staff and students. In the spring of my senior year, Dr. Matney had memorized my senior quote, something I had never shared with him before. Not only had this man memorized my first and last name before I even knew his, he had memorized a quote from me in the yearbook of hundreds of students. Dr. Matney, an advocate for student advancement, a leader, needs to be in our school systems. He has made me feel at home in Currituck, and this is something every student deserves. Board of Education members, I urge you to reconsider what impacts Dr. Matney has made on his students and staff. Imagine standing in our shoes. Listen to us as you were elected to. And this isn't in my notes, but I just want to add, like I said, he has made me feel at home in Currituck County. And I just want you guys to think about there's many students in this county that are underprivileged and that do not have a home in their house. So I just want you to think about that as he has made a personal connection as he does with all of his students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Johanna Bloom.
Hello, good evening everyone. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Johanna Bloom and I have been teaching social studies at the high school for almost 15 years now. Prior to this evening, I did write to the board twice to express my unwavering support for Dr. Matney. I wrote to you with the hope that you would extend, Dr. Matney's contract and allow him to continue in his role as our much-loved principal. This evening, I would like to reiterate that message. There are many things I can tell you about Dr. Matney. I can tell you that over the past 2 years, he's been a blessing to our school system and our community. He has supported all of his students, or all of our students, in all of their endeavours, whether that be the marching band, supporting student athletes, or promoting academic excellence for all students in all disciplines. He has created a vision for our school and given us much needed direction. The deserved pride that he has fostered in our community for our school has given our students confidence, enabling them to achieve. For example, Dr. Matney has on several occasions called my students from class to his office to congratulate them on individual accomplishments. These students returned to class feeling proud and happy to be a student at CCHS. He's a great asset to our school, and to not extend his contract would be our school and our community's profound loss. Not only does Dr. Matney go above and beyond for all of our students, he also goes above and beyond to support his faculty and staff. His door is always open, he solicits and welcomes our input, and thoroughly understands, respects and supports the job that we do. Furthermore, as I mentioned in my letters, he has been incredibly supportive of myself and my family as we navigate my father's illness. The kindness and understanding that he has shown us will never be forgotten and is absolutely appreciated. In closing, I also implore you to consider the outstanding leadership Dr. Matney has demonstrated during this time of crisis and great uncertainty. To remove Dr. Matney from his position during this time only adds to that uncertainty. With that being said, I urge you to please close this detrimental revolving door and give us the consistency and direction that we thoroughly deserve at Currituck County High School under the excellent leadership of Dr. Brian Matney. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bloom. Zachary Deerman.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I will be short, as I can only speak for myself. In this case, I have not been a high school teacher very long. Not in my career. I have enjoyed many pleasurable jobs and careers in a not so short life. I can say teaching was not something I saw myself doing. Not teaching high school. I came to Currituck County kind of running from grief and running from pain. It's no one's issue but mine, but that is why I came here. And teaching was not something I expected to do. But the last few years teaching, I cannot see myself doing anything else. And now I find that I have been questioning my career. In the last 2 years, when Dr. Matney appeared for us, I became solid. I took on that mantle of a teacher and said, I can and will go forward here. I enjoyed my job. I came to adopt these children. I came to adopt other people's children. Many of those sitting in this room today can say it felt like home. It took some time to settle in, but it felt like home. And to come back around, say you'll forgive me, colds, for my froggy voice. But coming back around, I find myself questioning again. If the administrator, the principal, that brings me into the position to say that I am home now, that this job of teaching these students, all of them, from the very top down to the very bottom of these students, I find myself questioning whether I can carry on. I find myself questioning whether I can keep teaching inside of a system that treats the best man in such a way. Not for myself, but for my students. I don't think I want to see them struggle again. Not in that way. I like to see them struggle to learn because they get it. I don't like to see them struggle because they don't know what their futures look like. They did. And I think at least I was down to, when I come around again to say that I question whether I can carry on, I question whether our students should have to. I know it sounds strange. I know it sounds rough, but it leaves me with one question of whether or not teaching is still doing or worth doing. I'm going to be asking that question for quite some time, in a sense, but I know working in a school with Dr. Matney, being led by, mentored by, and coached by Dr. Matney has been my greatest privilege. I'm sorry to see that go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deerman. Mary Suman?
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Mary Suman. I've lived in Moyock for 19 years, and my two children are a rising junior and a rising sophomore at CCHS. They have attended Currituck County schools their entire lives. I'm here to express my strong support for Dr. Brian Matney. I want to open by acknowledging that this body has been left in an unfair position. As elected officials, you know you will be called upon to tackle complicated and even contentious issues. Your reasonable expectation is that the career professionals surrounding you will provide straightforward, unbiased facts so you can make informed decisions. In this regard, I believe you were failed, and I believe we as citizens and parents were failed. We were failed by a superintendent who made a significant personnel decision after he already publicly announced his intention to leave. After he made it clear he was no longer invested in the future of our schools, our students, or our teachers, and after he could no longer be held accountable for that decision. As you sit here listening to public comments, worrying about the future of our schools and what this means for your re-election chances, he is starting a new job and a new life more than 600 miles away and likely losing very little sleep over what is happening in Currituck County tonight. Quantifiably, in just 2 years, under Dr. Matney, we've seen test scores at the high school improve. We've seen CCHS meet the growth goals set by DPI for the first time in at least 5 years. We've seen a push to have more language options made available, and we've seen a move to add more advanced science classes, a critical need for students like mine looking to gain acceptance to STEM-based degree programs. As for things which have no finite metrics, since they left elementary school, Dr. Matney is the first principal who knows my kids by name and has acknowledged their academic and athletic achievements. He is visible to the students during the school day and to the parents and community at extracurricular events. He establishes clear rules and enforces those rules equally. And he has high standards and expectation for our children and their teachers because he believes in them and knows what they are capable of achieving when they are appropriately challenged and supported. We already know the return to school in August will not be normal. Short of gross misconduct, which we can assume is not the case or it would have resulted in immediate termination, this is not the time to disrupt leadership at CCHS. With so much uncertainty, we need continuity and predictability. And our children, who are truly the ones bearing the brunt, beg for consistency and familiarity when they return. Quantifiable results, visibility, accountability, support, fairness, consistency, aren't those the exact qualities we should all be looking for in a principal? For these reasons, I would respectfully request this body reconsider the questionable and misinformed decision made by our ex-superintendent and keep Dr. Matney as the principal of CCHS. And in closing, I will just say that on May 26th, I sent this board a note with more of a summary of what I just spoke about through Mrs. Etheridge. However, I'm given to understand that a system-wide email outage may have interfered with the delivery of that, so I'm going to leave copies of that here for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jamison Martini.
Good evening and thank you. My name name is Jamison Martini. I am here to speak on behalf of myself and my younger sister Alexis to express our support as CCHS students for Dr. Matney. I'm a rising junior, a sophomore class officer in SGO, an honors student, and a member of the CCHS baseball team. My sister is a rising sophomore, a straight A student involved in Science Olympiad, and a member of the CCHS swim and softball teams. As lifelong residents of Moyock, we have both attended Currituck County schools since kindergarten. When I arrived at CCHS, Dr. Matney was the 5th principal I'd had in as many years. 9th and 10th grades with Dr. Matney were the first time since elementary school that I'd had the same principal for 2 consecutive years. My sister also had 5 different principals in 5 years. She has not had the same principal 2 years in a row since she was in 4th and 5th grade. Between the two of us, we have adjusted to the leadership of 6 different principals since 2015, and we've lived through the disruption that comes every time a new principal is brought into our school. So even at 16, I feel experienced and qualified to offer my observations on what makes Dr. Matney different. I have never had a principal who greets me at the front door each morning. He is always visible around the school at athletic events and at club activities. He knows who we are and speaks to us about the things he knows we have going on. Dr. Matney has changed the dynamic of being called into the principal's office by often inviting us students in to share good news, to offer us encouragement, or to personally congratulate us on an achievement. That is something I've never experienced before Dr. Matney became my principal. We feel safe at our school because Dr. Matney enforces the policies around allowing visitors on campus, but also because he doesn't tolerate threats or disruptions from within the building. That latter is not a sense of security I've always felt like I've had as a student in the past. In 2 years, I will be heading to a 4-year college. For myself, I am concerned about academic opportunities that may open the door for more and better opportunities. Dr. Matney working to increase our access to foreign languages is one such opportunity. My younger sister will leave for college in 3 years. For her, I want access to the advanced science classes that she will need to be able to help pursue her dream of studying genetics at Duke. Dr. Matney is working to make that happen. We both need financial assistance to attend college. Dr. Matney has CCHS on track to finally receive accreditation, which, as you may know, is an important step to help us qualify and compete for the scholarships we need. I have been a student under 6 different principals in my 11 years as a student at Currituck County. I can tell you that Dr. Matney is one of the best, most effective I've ever experienced. As a student with 2 more years to go at CCHS, and as the older brother of a sister with 3 more years to go, I respectfully request that you keep Dr. Matney as the principal of my high school. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Jamison. Robert Griffin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The thoughts and the observations that I share tonight are my own. I'm not claiming to speak on behalf of anybody else. First, I am the chair of the mathematics department at CCHS. As such, I have had discussions with Dr. Matney regarding a range of topics. And it is apparent that he sees great potential in our school. His thoughts about courses that are offered, extracurricular opportunities that should be explored, and services that support the social and emotional well-being of our students are indicative of a man who has students at the forefront of his decision-making. He has remarked on several occasions that teachers are the experts in their chosen craft, and his expectation is that, as teachers, we will provide meaningful classroom experiences for our students. Having this viewpoint, he makes every effort to provide the time and the resources necessary to develop those classes. Second, I am a member of the school improvement team. I see a principal who wants input from the school community. He has asked team members to gather input from others within the school in order for discussions to occur at future meetings before a decision is reached. He has asked team members to research potential policy changes that may be considered and is encouraging leadership among the faculty at our school. Under his leadership, our school improvement team will become a strong voice for the best interests of our school. Third, I have the perspective of a parent. Dr. Matney is a staunch supporter of our students, as evidenced by his Twitter updates about the positive things accomplished by our students. I have never been concerned about the safety of students during Dr. Matney's tenure, and I appreciate his daily efforts to greet and talk with students as they enter our school. Personally, he researched opportunities for my daughter to consider that I would never have been aware of, and I appreciate him for presenting those opportunities to her. In conclusion, I have worked as a teacher in the Currituck County Schools at Currituck County High School for 23 years. During this time, I have worked for 9 different principals. Dr. Matney's professionalism and credentials are as strong as any principal I have ever worked with. Given time, his leadership will shine. I sincerely hope that an extension of Dr. Matney's contract will be included in the personnel report that you choose to vote upon this evening. I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Mr. Ed Welliver. She may be getting in, maybe down the... Ms. Parker, is Ed Welliver here? Okay. Anita Rubino.
Good evening, Board. Thank you very much for allowing us to come in and speak to you again. As many of my colleagues have expressed, I'm here of my own opinion and thoughts as not only a teacher, but also a community member and a parent. So without further ado, I'm here tonight because I feel compelled to take a stand for what is right. Standing for what is right is a professional, ethical, and moral obligation. It is not always popular, but when it is right, it is imperative. But believing you are right and being right don't always coincide if you do not free yourself from bias and seek the truth. Bias and truth cannot coexist. That being said, I am a parent, community member, and 19-year veteran teacher of Currituck County Schools that listens and reflects on my own biases and seeks truth. And I know Dr. Matney is right for Currituck County High School. I know how deeply he has impacted all of our students. And yes, all means he has the best interest of every student and not just certain populations. I teach a diverse range of students from 9th to 12th grade in diverse arts classes. I also coach a diverse range of students from 9th to 12th grade. So I think it's fair to say that I have experience with a diverse population at the high school. These students are thriving under Dr. Matney, who consistently extols their achievements of such a great student body. Dr. Matney took the helm and provided a vision of Currituck County High School as a leader in educational opportunities and future preparedness for our students. Implementation of strong programs spanning career preparedness to the coveted AP Capstone diploma is providing our students with these diverse options that they're going to need. As evidenced through our current pandemic, they're going to have to carve new careers and even evolve existing ones, as we as teachers and administration and other careers have had to do. We've had to change how we approach this new future and our jobs. These programs he's put in place is going to enable them to do this, to meet this evolving world. Dr. Matney values each and every one of our students. As a teacher, under Dr. Matney's guidance, I feel valued. I work on the school improvement team along with Mr. Griffin and other colleagues from all departments. We are encouraged to have diverse input. We're encouraged to bring input from our colleagues back to the table. This diverse input is helping us with this vision of educational excellence and meeting the needs of our diverse students and keeping them at the forefront of our work. Diverse input also means that everyone has a voice and that input is actually valued, it's heard. Okay? It means that not always will we agree, but it opens the door to dialogue and discussion so that we can all get different points of view and meet those needs and contribute to improving our schools. It's also essential in developing collaboration and teamwork. Every level of our school community and leadership should understand that valued staff members are essential to creating a school community that will work together in those best interests of our students. As a parent, I want to conclude by saying I want my son to benefit from these incredibly strong CTE and work-ready preparation programs. I want my daughters to benefit from the academic rigor that he has been putting into place and growing and developing. And most importantly, I want all my children to take a life lesson from this event and understand that it is time to take a stand for what is right by looking at, reflecting on biases and self and seeking truth. And once you have that, going forward and hoping to change. I thank you so much for your time. I ask you to please to consider a one-year extension so that we can continue growing and developing. Thank you very much, respectfully, for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rubino. Kobe Cisneros? Cisneros. Good evening.
Good evening, school administration and Board of Education members. My name is Kobe Cisneros, and I am a 2020 graduate from Currituck County High School. I would like to take a moment to first thank the Board of Education, school administration, teachers, community, and volunteers for allowing the senior class of 2020 a choice to have a traditional graduation ceremony or a drive-up ceremony. I participated in the traditional ceremony, and every minute of it was memorable and provided me closure. I was able to see my friends, classmates, teachers, school administration, and coaches one last time. So again, thank you. On June 8th, I sent an email to each Board of Education elected official in regards to the non-renewal of Dr. Matney's contract. I would like to take a moment and thank Janet Rose and Dawn Kraft for responding to my email. I would like to now address our school administration and Board of Education members regarding the decision of the non-renewal of Dr. Matney's contract. As a student, I wholeheartedly believe this should be reconsidered. Dr. Matney provided the students, staff, and visitors a safe environment. At no time during his tenure did I feel unsafe. He was at the front doors greeting students, whether it was the morning of a school day, sporting event, or even a fine art showing. If anything, Dr. Matney provided stability, pride, culture, trust, leadership, and brought unity to the student body. The school was united. He cared about us. Dr. Matney made you accountable for your own actions. As a student, this is important. He wants you to succeed and make the best out of your high school years. He also wants you to learn how to transition into college or the workforce as a young, respectable, and accountable adult. As I stated before, I hope that our school administration and Board of Education will reconsider the renewal of Dr. Matney's contract. Please consider the trust, unity, culture, and leadership he has brought to our student body, especially during this pandemic. In closing, I was always brought up everything will not be perfect. You will not always get what you want. When you have questions, ask. If there is a problem, work it out and move forward. Give the person a chance to correct or change. Be respectful, but speak for what you believe in, and be accountable for your own actions. No one will ever 100% of the time agree, and it's okay. This is what builds our character and how you learn. So I would just like to ask, is it really worth not renewing Dr. Matney's contract because he fought for his students and cared for us? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kobe. Destiny Moyers.
my name is Destiny Moyers, and I am one of nearly 1,000 students that Dr. Matney has cared for over the past 2 years among the high school. I am also among one of the 250 seniors that he has fought for to get the proper graduation we deserved. And I am now here to fight for him and show him how much he is truly appreciated and that he should get what he deserves, which is to keep his job. During my 4 years of high school, I had a total of 3 different principals. And I can truly say that Matney has had the best connection with all of his students. Word has been said that he is not visible around school and that he treats kids unfairly. Well, you only hear and believe what you guys have been told, and you guys really aren't there to see. So let me take you on a typical day of school. Take a trip with me, close your eyes, and imagine what I got to see every day. You're walking up into the front door to go to school in the morning. The doors are already open, and you're walking in, and the first person you see, besides your peers, is Dr. Matney, standing there holding the door open for you. Mind you, he doesn't have to, but he wants to. And while you're walking in, headphones in or not, talking or not, first thing you're going to hear is, "Good morning, hope you have a wonderful day." What a great way to start your day, right? Now just wait a little longer, keep your eyes closed. It is time to switch classes, and the bell's just rung. You have to walk the halls, and on your way you look up, and Dr. Matney is right there. And you might be having a bad day or not, but it's a good thing you have 5 minutes to get to your next class, because he's going to stop and talk to you. And if you're not having a good day, well, he's going to try to do your best and make it better. Now you can open up your eyes. Does that truly sound like someone who has ignored their students or wasn't visible? If that's not enough to prove my point, we'll take it from some of my peers. I asked my peer Connor Hamilton how he felt about the situation. He said it's messed up. He said when I transferred here, he made me feel like I have been here my whole life. He knew a lot about me, stuff like my nickname and where I was from. I also asked Taylor Black, and she said he is an outstanding principal, always fought for what was right, and always wanted to make school better for us. Even if she barely talked to him, he always remembered her and knew who she was. I even asked former student Cameron Johnson how she felt, and she said I really enjoyed him. He supported his athletic teams as well as the students. He would be at every game, and he would hold the front door every morning, rainy or not. He took care of his students when I was there. Now, I totally understand all things don't work out and happen the right way or go wrong, but not everything is easy. Matney truly cares and is one of the biggest supporters that this school has. That includes sports, clubs, bands, chorus, and anything you name it, he supports it. He truly treats every student like his own, even if they don't really talk to him that much. So why waste your time trying to find someone new to support our school just as much as he does, when you can keep your biggest supporter here? As I finish, I hope you all have reconsidered the decision and realized what has been said and it's never been true. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rebecca Benton?
Good evening, Dr. Lutz and board members. I am Becky Benton, and I am an exceptional children's teacher at Currituck County High School, and that is the aspect from which I will be speaking from tonight. I have only been at Currituck High School 1 year, and yet I still feel it imperative to speak on behalf of Dr. Matney. It is my understanding that at least part of what sparked his contract not being renewed is the supposed fact, as you've heard, that there's been a lot of focus on honors classes or AP and improving the school. And I will say from my experience, that is far from the truth. Although he is doing those things, those are not the only things he is doing. I can only suppose that this is partly said because he is not one of the administrators that we as EC teachers schedule IEP meetings with, and at times has not personally interviewed candidates for EC teacher positions. Well, just let me say, this actually shows that he is an outstanding leader, and let me explain why. As an outstanding leader, an outstanding leader builds on strengths of those who are a part of his team. When I became a part of the Knight family, one assistant principal there had previously been an EC director. Another assistant principal was a previous EC teacher. A good leader empowers those who have expertise in an area to make decisions. However, Dr. Matney was still hands-on. I served on an interview team for an EC teacher, and Dr. Matney made it a point after my morning duty to ask me my thoughts about the candidates. I would like to think that is because of my expertise as an EC teacher and my previous 7 years as an EC director in another district in North Carolina. He trusts his employees enough to help him make decisions, but make no mistake, he took all that information and at the end of the day made the final decision after doing his own thorough review, as he should, I might say. As far as IEP meetings, as an EC director in another county where I worked with 23 schools, let me say I had plenty of principals who delegated IEP meetings to their assistant principals, and especially at my high schools. Since when is delegation the sign of a bad leader? A leader cannot do everything to run the school and therefore must delegate responsibilities. As I stated in my email to the board members previously, as I have spoken on his behalf before, he's an excellent leader, as you've heard from many others. And so, again, I just wanted to speak from the aspect of an employee there who's only been there a short time. I drive 45 minutes one way to come and work at Currituck High School, and would choose to continue to do that. And so I implore you to renew Dr. Matney's contract.
Thank you very much. Mia Baker-Spruill.
Before I begin, I would like you to take note of the following. Dr. Matney is the only principal who's gotten my name right consistently. He's also the only principal I've had consecutively since elementary school. I will graduate in 2022. Do I really have to endure another change in administrators? Now let's start. My name is Mia Baker-Spruill. I am 16 years old and I am a current student attending Currituck County High School. It is with great sadness I read this letter. However, I can only tell you the only option that is the most reasonable: keeping Dr. Matney as Currituck County High School principal. First, I want you to remember the word together. My sophomore year, I was a drop-off kid. Every day, Dr. Matney stood at the door and greeted every single person. At precisely 7:40 a.m., he'd be standing to open the doors and let you know every day we face it together. If he didn't show up at 7:40 a.m., he showed up at 7:39 a.m. every single day. He stood in the cold with us, and he stood in the heat with us, making sure everyone made it in and out of the building. If I learned anything from Dr. Matney, it would be his dedication. He didn't only abide by that himself, he made sure his staff knew the importance of it as well. No one took it lightly, but everyone did it together. By the middle of my sophomore year, I'd been experiencing racial oppression. Instead of Dr. Matney sweeping it under the rug, he made sure both parties were in agreement on an appropriate course of action. He also made sure everyone knew that a difference, whether physical, mental, or emotional, didn't mean you were singled out. Difference meant we fought it harder together. Now I will tell you the programs he initiated at CCHS. One program was the AP Capstone Project. The AP Capstone Project offers students who score 3 or higher in AP Seminar, AP Research, and on 4 additional AP exams of their choosing the AP Capstone Diploma. Both the student and college have benefits because of this program. The benefits for students include the following: stand out to colleges in the application process, develop key academic skills they'll use in college and beyond, become self-confident, independent thinkers and problem solvers, and earn college credits. The project also included benefits for colleges and teachers receiving these students. The benefits include the following: academic distinction, flexible student-centered curricula with room for creativity and student input, and access to a week-long collaborative training event. Our school, thanks to Dr. Matney, is one of the only schools in the area that participates in such a rigorous program. Another academic project Dr. Matney brought to CCHS was the National English Honor Society. NEHS is the only international organization exclusively for high school students and faculty who in the field of English merit special note for the past and current accomplishments. I served as the NEHS Next Chapter's Vice President. The benefits include the following: to nurture members to further develop their abilities in humanities, and to encourage members to use their talents in the service of others. If you participate in this program, you may put on a college application and even receive a scholarship.
This is a program special not only to Dr. Matney, but for the students and faculty at CCHS as well. Upon everything previously mentioned, my heart is broken. When I became aware of Dr. Matney's impending absence, I was devastated. I was devastated not only because of his small gestures for us to experience togetherness, but for all the educational opportunities I know my school and county would miss out on. His famous phrase to me was, "You are your biggest advocate." In this letter, I hope you and Dr. Matney realize that some battles are to be fought together. One man doesn't win a basketball game, a football game, defeat an army, host a concert, or run the country without doing it together. Please take into consideration this letter and the people it will affect before you finalize any decision. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my letter.
Thank you, Mia. Will Currituck?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Will Currituck. I'm Will Currituck, the parent. The same parent that used to come in here and talk about combination classes and how they were increasing. So I want to roll back the clock to 2010 when a couple of you got elected. And in 2012 when another one of you got elected. I want to talk about the 4 superintendents that we have had since 2010. This will be the 4th one. 6 principals at the Currituck County High School, 14 assistant principals, and over 31 principals during the course of that time in this district. All while performance grades have went down. We were talking about accreditation as a district in 2010. Here it is, 2020. A decade later, we still do not have the high school accredited. We got an HR director that has worked here for 34 years that said in her 18 years, no one has ever appealed a non-renewal. I have to wonder, did they also come to the system's tactics? So we're in the top 10% of North Carolina of administration turnover. Top 10. I'd like to talk about the 39 names that Mr. Griffin got in one day from the high school, from staff. I would read them, but it'll take up too much time. And then I want to talk about the letter, no matter whom it is, that you're requested to sign if an investigation is started on you. You're being notified that because of recent events, a formal inquiry is conducted into the actions of the Currituck County Schools employee. Because of the confidentiality of this inquiry, I'm directing that you not discuss these actions with anyone. All correspondence should go through the inquiry investigator or human resources department. Any unauthorized disclosure of facts or opinions will be seen as a defiant act and could lead to additional disciplinary action up to, but not excluding termination. These directives are for protection under the rights of confidentiality for all parties involved. So anybody that's investigated have to sign that, and they can't express their personal situation. Anyhow, what I'd leave you with is stop the hurting. Keep the king in the castle. You've heard from the teachers. You've heard from the kids. Do the right thing.
How long have you been on the board, Mr. Currituck?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I've been on the board for 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
And prior to that, for 6 years, it was a 5.
Thank you. That's all. That's all. Thank you. Carly Martinet.
Hi, good evening. My name is
is Carly Martinet. I'm a former student of CCHS. I would like to start off and say I came from Virginia Beach schools. I felt like an outsider up until my senior year of high school when I met Dr. Matney. He knew my name before I even met him from seeing me in the yearbook. There was an incident my senior year where I was being bullied to leave a team. Dr. Matney was the only person in the school who went out of his way to make sure I even showed up to school the next day because I felt miserable there. I never felt like another staff member, not necessarily a staff member, but a principal in this county has gone out of their way for like that for me ever. And I would also like to stand and say that this may not directly affect me anymore, but the teachers who pushed me to be the young lady I am to be are going to be directly affected by this. And respectfully, the board has made a wrong decision to not renew Dr. Matney's contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Morgan.
Good evening. Most of you know me, but for those of you who do not and those of you watching, my name is Amy Morgan, and I'm a lifelong resident of this county, a proud graduate of CCHS class of 1991, a kindergarten teacher at Shawboro Elementary School, and most importantly, a parent of 2 CCHS graduates and an incoming freshman that will be a part of the class of 2024. I have a long history in Currituck County. You could literally say that I was born into education in this county, having spent the first year of my life in the White House, what we call the White House now, in the central office, as it was used as a home for teachers, young teachers like my parents. With deep Currituck roots, I want what is best for our students. I'm passionate about Currituck maintaining a good reputation and having quality education, and many of you on this board have had a direct impact on my education as a student, my education and growth as a beginning teacher, Ms. Kraft, and my children's education, Ms. Rose. I know we are living in difficult and turbulent times, and I know leaders such as yourselves are making decisions that are not easy. One decision that I think you could all make that would not be difficult would be to extend Dr. Matney's contract for at least another year. Mr. Stefanik chose not to renew his contract, and that was a decision that I believe he made in haste, not using his best judgment. You have been presented with information, none of which I believe supports dismissing a qualified leader of the largest school in our county. We are in unprecedented times, and we need consistency and quality leadership. We need strong leaders, and I have seen nothing but strong leadership displayed by Dr. Matney. I understand all people may not appreciate his leadership style, but we need leaders who want to do what is right for our children and what is best for the children of Currituck. We need to listen to the people who directly work with him each day, his students and his teachers. I know there are some teachers that are not satisfied with his leadership style, but leaders have to make hard decisions that don't always end in friendship. Friendship and leadership are 2 different things. I believe Dr. Matney demonstrates leadership. What else would you want in leading this high school through these unprecedented times? There has been no information given as to why his contract was not renewed. If his contract was not renewed due to an unethical or immoral act, then I understand that, but I don't believe that to be the case. If his contract was not renewed because he could not effectively perform and carry out his duties, then I understand that, but I believe that's not the case either. 39 staff members signed the staff petition in support of Dr. Matney. If he was not performing his duties, then almost half the staff thought he was, and they want him to stay. Please consider extending his contract for at least another year and give him the time to correct some of the areas of improvement from his evaluation. Give Dr. Matney that chance and correct the wrongs of our former superintendent. Work together, get along, and respect each other. It's what I teach my kindergartners each year in our back to school song. and we all needed to be reminded of this at this time from time to time. Together we stand, divided we fall. Listen to your constituents, the teachers, the students, and do what is best for the children of Currituck County. Be the Currituck I can be proud of that makes the best decisions for children. Be the Currituck that I know and love, where I began my educational journey, where my children were educated and prepared for this world, and where I will most likely stay through my educational career. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Mike Hall?
Good evening. I know that your job is very tough. I have sat up there as a commissioner. I also sit on this College of the Albemarle's Board of Trustees. I'm also a member of the Executive Board. So I know it's tough when it comes to dealing with these type of situations. We're in our third president in my 6 years. Okay, so we have the same problem. Sometimes you have to look at staff, you have to look at your presidents, your superintendents, etc. The other night, Monday, Seth, that you were there, you're looking at a new school. Have you shared with the rest of the board that the grade for the traffic is E?
Yes.
Now that is appalling. That is one step from failure. 8,000 cars will drive past where you're going to put this new school. 8,000 cars. Survey Road isn't long, folks. And that did not include Eagle Creek. It did not include Lakeview. And it did not include your new school that you want to put there. 8,000 cars, letter E, one step from failure, where DOT tells you no. They warned you on the north end when you make the left, when you make the turn, it's a 90-degree turn. I've seen many cars almost go in the ditch because they forget that curve's there. And they want to say that you can't make a left turn there. They're going to put no left turn signs up, which means you're going to shove everybody back to the stoplight, which means it's going to get worse than 8,000 cars. 8,000 cars for those neighborhoods is more like about 5 per house, not counting the schools, not counting the future businesses. Think about putting a school in that type of situation. DOT has already told you they will not put a stoplight at the north end. That's dangerous, folks. That is terrible. Traffic analysis. 31 years as a Norfolk policeman, I am versed and qualified in traffic analysis. So I'm telling you right now, we wouldn't approve it. You want to put kids there, and not high school, elementary students. You're going to mix them in with the middle school. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to the north end of Tulls Creek Road. Everybody here remember when it used to curve and used to right there at the fire department, or they used to drive past the elementary school? What was the reason for moving the road? Because of those two problems. They didn't want all this traffic going past the elementary school or the fire department. It blocked everything up when the buses had to come out, etc. But you're going to put that same situation back in again. Don't do it. Whatever reason it might be. The other problem you have is overcrowding. Your previous superintendent said, I don't want any portable classrooms. Well, he's putting them up there at Moriarty Elementary School. Your lunchrooms already start early enough. You're having breakfast when you should be having lunch. Or should I say lunch, having breakfast. So folks, you don't need portable classrooms. Temporary fix, I understand it. But find a better place for the school. Where you're trying to put it is not safe. So I ask you to think about that carefully. Also your school numbers. I'll leave you with this last quick thought. As a commissioner, I kept hearing different school numbers of students multiple times every year. They keep changing. Y'all say one thing, commissioners say another thing. Mr. Craddock, before he became a member of the Board of Education, said another. Y'all can't decide what it is. So how many numbers of kids are going to Moriarty Elementary? Y'all can't decide. Nobody can decide. Folks, figure out a number and stick with it. Quit changing. Because it tells me that maybe y'all don't know or nobody knows, and it's just a number we reach in and grab out of a bag on the top of our head. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Kathy Jo Harris? Ms. Harris, are you here? Kathy Jo? Okay, great.
Madam Chair, was there an email or something about that traffic study that was sent around?
No, that was at Monday night's meeting. We haven't discussed that yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought.
Yeah. No, if you tuned into the meeting, you would have been.
I did. I tried, but I couldn't.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. I'm Kathy Jo Harris,
And I have a son who's just completed his freshman year in high school. And I have a sister that's a little bit younger in 7th grade. I'll be going to the high school here in about 2 years. So I am a parent who's invested in the next 6 years of the high school education. I want to speak on the behalf of Dr. Matney and the impression he makes on you as soon as you enter an event at the school. He's dressed professionally, he welcomes you, he welcomes comments, and I can notice he has the support of the student body, just seeing the respect that both parents and students have for him. I need to speak on a personal level. I am a Currituck County graduate, and I grew up here in the school system. I attended Central Elementary School. I went to JP Knapp when it was still junior high, and then I was the last graduating class at Currituck County Middle School before the current high school. In my 3, if not all 4 years in high school, from 1994 to 1998, I know I at least had 3 different principals, if not 4, each year. As a student, it provided instability starting each school year, learning administration and expectations. I do not want that instability for my children from Morgan and Emily Jo. I want consistency, leadership, and a learning environment for my children and the children that will be attending, for all the children here in our county. I support Dr. Matney's leadership, and it's been spoken upon by both students and teachers and staff and parents. And I'd like to close by reading you the list of current staff members, faculties, and coaches at Currituck County High School that are in support of Dr. Matney's leadership. Robert Griffin, Todd Parker, Kim Kunkler, Sean Graham, Ed Welliver, Linda O'Neill, Kim Mawhinney, Brendan Ross, Jennifer Jeressa, Ralph Long, Rebecca Benton, Rolinda Collinston, Brenda Forehand, Susan Sawyer, Anceletta Graham, Esther Reed, Christina Mills Gregory, Jeff Rhodes, Katie Page, Corey Cohen, Donna Gregory, Sharon Crane, Paulette Wagner, Valerie Person, Johanna Bloom, Jeff Dover, Melissa Lucino, Kim Crank, Buddy White, Beth Frum, Michelle Dowdy, Zach Deerman, Elizabeth Brinker, Anita Rubino, Andrew Knott, Haley Bartolotta, Miss Thomas, Thomas Andrew Kovacs. He's known as Mr. A. My son had him in school, and he's the current teacher of the year. Colonel Grimes, Tim McClellan, Jordan Casper, Paul Munson, John Harlow, Rodney Wooten, Nathan Large, Clint Belangia, Michael Fisher, Sean Jennings, Chris Ferretti, Brenda Jones, Zach Deerman, Donald Roper, and Paul Vossi. These are 53 names I just read to you in support of him. Please give Dr. Matney another chance and a year to his contract, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Paul Beaumont.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome, Dr. Lutz, to the team. I'm here to speak out in support of Dr. Matney. At the risk of offending my fellow commissioners here, as a parent, as a coach, as an avid supporter of Currituck County athletics, I am probably the most visible commissioner at the high school. Upon those occasions, I have had the opportunity to speak to the teachers, speak to students, speak to parents, speak to administrators, speak to Dr. Matney. I have never, in his entire tenure at this school, ever encountered anyone that had anything but positive things to say about that individual. My daughter, who's, I'm not sure, well, I don't think any of y'all know, but is a quiet mouse of a kid. And Dr. Matney greeted her every single morning and knew her personally. I would like to think it's because, and as has been spoken to tonight, it's not because she's my daughter, it's because that's the way he invests in each and every child. I understand the difficulty of being a board. I have a little bit of experience with that, but I think that you all can in our interactions, I don't think there's anyone on that board, on your board, that doesn't believe that I have the best interests of our kids at heart. That is what has motivated me. That's why I collect them. I've had 6 children attend Currituck County High School. Ms. Dowdy knows I take a personal interest on what's going on there, because this is our future that we're all dealing with. As one of my practices, I would sit down, or try to sit down, with the principal at the high school just to find out, what are you seeing from an education perspective? And Ms. Dowdy and I enjoyed that. Her last year as a principal, I was accompanied to that interview, or that discussion, or that meeting with Mr. Stefanik. Guess how frank that conversation was? It was 0. Because Mr. Stefanik wants to control, or wants to direct, or wants to run that aspect of interaction and knowledge. As a commissioner, I can tell you that I have been very unimpressed with the level of detail and analysis that our former superintendent invested in our school system. His inability to answer follow-up questions was significant. Do I have confidence that he performed an adequate analysis of this whole situation before recommending that Dr. Matney's contract not be renewed? None. I have zero faith. Somebody that is in that role, if they're true to what their purpose is, wants to see the best out of the individuals that are on that team. If that were the case, Dr. Matney would have known a lot sooner than April that there was an issue with his performance. I don't think Mr. Stefanik was very fair in the way he treated him, or very sincere in helping to see him succeed. I too would ask that you consider giving Dr. Matney another year, because I believe he's worth it, and I believe he's all in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beaumont. All right, I believe that ends our public comment session of the meeting. I think thank you for being here tonight and for signing up for public comment. And I appreciate all your concern and for you taking the time to attend our meeting tonight. And if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to. If not, you're welcome to go.
I move to make a motion that we renew Dr. Matney's contract.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
There's nothing on the agenda for that action, so I think procedurally there would first need to be an amendment to the agenda if the board wishes to take action on something.
To amend the agenda, I move to amend the agenda in that I make a motion to renew Dr. Matney's contract.
I have
Madam Chair, I'd suggest procedurally you should entertain one motion at a time. As I stated, it sounds like Mr. Craddock's made a motion to amend the agenda to add a contract for Dr. Matney to the agenda. So that would be the motion. We would need a second and action on that.
Do I have a second?
On that motion before the board could proceed on.
I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Oh, can we have some discussion?
Yes.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to discuss something.
Yes, ma'am.
I've listened to all of your concerns, and I appreciate all of you being here tonight. Please know that this decision was not taken lightly. During the hearing, we listened to the testimony of the witnesses for both Dr. Matney as well as Superintendent Mark Stefanik. I based my decision on those facts. I wish I could share the reasons, but unfortunately I cannot. Anyone that knows me personally knows that there must be a reason I voted the way I did. That's where trust comes in, character, honesty. A few minutes ago, I heard the comment to me, because I take things so personal, to me it was like a threat concerning my election in 2 years. Re-election. The remarks are hurtful, because this position, it's a public service commission position. That's all it is. It's like I am volunteering my time, my efforts, the number of hours, day, night, midnight. I'm getting texts, phone calls, emails, and I try to listen to everyone's concerns. And we did have a glitch in our email, and I apologize if I did not get it back with anyone. But we're hearing one side, guys. And I want to read you, and I'd rather keep the name anonymous if that's okay, but this is from one of our graduates from 2006. Dear Miss Etheridge, I just wanted to send you a note to say thank you for your tough decision that you made regarding the non-renewal of Dr. Matney's contract at Currituck County High School. Having been an outside observer and only having interactions with Dr. Matney centered around athletic events that I worked, I'll be honest, I didn't have much of an opinion about Dr. Matney. Then I started having staff members and teachers that I trust tremendously confiding in me about the struggles that they were having at Currituck County High School, and in particular Dr. Matney. These teachers and staff members should be commended, as they were not complaining to me, but rather asking me how I would handle it, what they viewed as a difficult situation. Over time, those concerns that were mentioned by 1 or 2 were mentioned by 6, then by 7, then by 8, without any of them knowing that the others had come to me, and they were all the same concerns. Concerns that I'm sure you've heard during your closed session meeting earlier this month. Currituck County High School has long been a place where I feel at home, as well as a place that I have tremendous pride. That's the reason why nearly after 15 years after graduating, I still come out to not only support numerous aspects of the school, but also dedicate time and effort to be the secondary voice of Currituck athletics. I have been disappointed in faculty and staff members who have made their displeasure with the board known on social media. Even more so, I've been shocked at the ferventness of that displeasure from certain faculty and staff. I've been disappointed that civil discourse hasn't happened, as I know that if these faculty and staff members had heard the issues that I have heard about, they wouldn't be posting what they have been posting. Alas, in today's world, we as a people are only concerned about the experiences we have had, instead of those around us. While I thought that we were above that in Currituck, apparently some of us are not. Your decision, in my opinion, was proven correct by fighting of your own decision, not firing. He thought we fired him. He was non-renewed of his contract as a Board of Education decision. How this has ballooned into what it has is still something that confuses me. But then it was made clear to me around graduation when reviewing the social media post of Dr. Matney. He does a fantastic job of promoting the great things that are happening at CCHS with certain high-performing students and organizations. However, he is more than his social media, and I think that's why you made the decision that you did. Dr. Matney is not the be-all, end-all of Currituck County High School. There are principals out there that would love to work for a school district with a great reputation and great supplement that we have. 3 fantastic candidates have already called me knowing that I have connections to the high school, asking me about the situation in the school system. I've been quick to tell the story of your leadership, how great the faculty and staff is at CCHS, how the students need someone who cares about all of them, and finally how Currituck is a great place to live. They've all said the same thing. Sounds like a great place to work. That's the kind of place I want to work. He goes on and on concerning our meeting tonight and some comments that were posted on a Facebook page about bringing your umbrella as it's about to get messy.
It was about to rain. That was concerning me.
They may. Excuse me. Excuse me. I wanted you to know that there are people out there who are proud of your leadership. Thank you for making the tough decision that you did and are praying for that decision to stand following the meeting tomorrow night. I'm proud to be associated with Currituck County High School as well as with Currituck County Schools, and I hope that association lasts for a considerable amount of time. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to discuss anything?
I would. Okay, first of all, I would like to show you the letters I received.
Well, I've received those too.
Hours to read them all. Hold on, ma'am. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking. Please, can I have my turn? Thank you. So I want to talk about the over 53 letters that would take me hours to read and support. I want to talk about the anonymous letter that started it, okay, that came in the mail to everyone, that is a public document that uses language like...
Yes.
Just as a reminder, any information about that the board considered at the hearing...
This wasn't at the hearing, sir.
I understand what you read was not evidence.
This wasn't at the hearing. This was something that got...
This was concerning the hearing. This is what started it.
This was not at the hearing.
Yes.
This is a letter that I received in the mail, and it's a public document.
It's
okay. If it relates to...
It relates to it.
Yes, it does.
Because it's how it started, with an anonymous letter with subjective accusations that are uncorroborated. Okay? And let me tell you about...
It does pertain to the hearing. This was what started the investigation. It is pertinent to the hearing.
If a document that relates to someone's performance or as an...
It doesn't have a name. It came in the mail.
Let him speak, please. Go ahead, Mr. Ramey.
Even if it's anonymous, it would still be a personnel record.
Yes.
I totally disagree. I mean, charge me with the class 3 misdemeanor. I tell you what, because you're not going to muzzle me. All right? This wasn't part of the hearing, and you're not muzzling me.
You're out of order, Mr. Craddock.
Okay, well, let me just talk about selective enforcement. Okay, because that's what we got going on here. Selective enforcement. When the superintendent moves out of the district and uses staff to relocate them, violate our policy and state law, nothing happens. Superintendent not initiating its annual reviews for years, violation of our policy and state law, nothing happens. When you got a family member that's a direct supervisor, the direct supervisor of another family member, violation of policy for years. Selective enforcement is how we get here, sir, with a handful of complainers that won't put their name to anything. So now what we have is we got teachers filing anonymous reports on one another within the same school right now. What we've done to this man, because we couldn't remove him with the evidence and cause, we couldn't terminate him. So all they could do was build this little case and paint him with a scarlet letter. Okay? They ruined the man's career, ruined his life, ruined these kids' life, put the whole county in a turmoil, and over what? Because he's a good guy? Because he likes people to succeed at any level in their education? Are we kidding ourselves? And you want to muzzle me about something I got in the mail? You're going to have to charge me with a class 3.
You're out of order, Mr. Craddock.
No, I'm not.
Mr. Ramey,
So
go ahead, please. If he'll allow you to go ahead, please.
I just wanted to offer advice to the board on legal requirements relating to personnel privacy laws.
Okay.
Also, a reminder, Mr. Craddock's made a motion to amend the agenda. I think we've gotten a bit far from
Well,
that.
I want to finish my discussion. Let me just say this.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ramey, I can't hear you.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
too. Y'all talking over me. I gave you the turn. Why can't I have the same respect? Because I'm saying
Because it's a personnel issue, Mr. Craddock. No, it's a personnel issue.
Yeah, the truth hurts.
That's-
So nepotism and friendship before students. That's what we have here. Nepotism and friendship.
Mr. Ramey.
Corruption.
Mr. Ramey.
It's riddled. I wish I could tell you everything. I just wish I could sit here and tell you the whole thing. You charged me with a class 3 misdemeanor. I mean, really. Beat me with the rubber hose, guys. I can't take it anymore. Come on. This is a sham. Bill Dobney went in the paper right after he was hired and said all kinds of not so favorable stuff about
Okay,
it. Mark
excuse me.
cried when we made him hire him.
I want order.
Okay.
Okay.
Do it to the people again. Over and over and over. Just do it to them. Screw them.
You know what? You're grandstanding.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
I'm telling the truth.
No,
And the
you're
facts
not.
are the facts.
You're not telling
they
the
didn't
truth.
interview but less than 18 people.
All right, we're moving on.
Live the life you want. And what are we going to do about perjury? I asked you about how to prosecute perjury. I witnessed perjury. What are we going to do about that? What's your legal advice on that, sir?
You're out of order, Mr. Craddock.
Yes, ma'am. Charge me with the crime.
Well, I'm about to.
I'll do
I'm
the
about
time.
to ask for censorship. Mr. Ramey, what do I need to censor? I'd like to censor one of our board members.
To keep an orderly meeting, that that the board focus on the task at hand. You have an agenda. There's been a motion made to amend the agenda. Hasn't been seconded.
It has been seconded by Ms. Rose.
The agenda.
Okay, and we're in discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye, I'm in favor.
All opposed? No. Aye. Motion does not carry. Field trip request. Dr. Lutz?
I just would like to say, Karen, I said it was messy because the weather
That's
was
okay,
supposed to be
Dana.
messy.
Everybody,
It was rude.
some people took it the other way.
Exactly, and you chose to present that.
No, I was reading a letter. I was reading a letter.
And I appreciate that, just like the superintendent chose to make our demonstration a protest when I had written a letter to Yvette, and he said we could not meet because of COVID restrictions. Yet we had a graduation with 1,000 people. So we tried to do this respectfully, but I do not appreciate that I was trying to say it was messy for any other reason than weather.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
How can you say something about people posting something on Facebook when you post it on Facebook yourself with your own opinion out there?
I have not posted anything on Facebook, sir.
You'll start your elections. You wait.
Wow. Thank you for the threat. Yes, sir.
Did y'all postpone or table the discussion?
We're tabling that decision, sir. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you. Dr. Lutz?
Field trip request. Field trip request. Our high school wrestling team has a request to go to St. Paris, Ohio on July 12th to the 16th. Chances are that this will not occur, but we wanted to bring that to the board's attention. I'm in contact with Todd Parker regarding this trip. We spoke today. I wanted to make you aware that that is a possibility.
Okay, thank you very much. Revision of 2020-21 school calendar, Ms. Renee Dowdy and Dr. Lutz.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
As you know, we had drafted a calendar on April the 9th, 2020, which seems like light years ago, given all that's gone on since then. We come back before you because legislation has changed to amend calendars with a new start date of August the 17th. We have also received word that we are once again looking at possibly additional changes. Some of the amendments that came in that calendar law was to include 5 remote instructional days, not to begin before August the 24th. We are now getting word that perhaps those 5 remote learning days can now be added to the very beginning of the calendar, starting August 17th. So we do have drafts ready for you to review once again, understanding that tomorrow we could get guidance that completely changes our school calendar again. And it's frustrating for families and teachers and all of us who are trying to plan for the start of next school year. So the draft that we have before you is yet another attempt to meet the legislative requirements of adding a full 5 days of instruction plus 5 remote learning days into the calendar.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I didn't see it. Is it in the packet or something?
Yes, sir. It should be in the back of the folder, Mr. Croddick.
I would like to ask that we get this stuff prior to the meeting.
This is the folder I brought, I believe, isn't it?
It was not
It's the one I brought
on the
with me from home with all
assembly
my stuff in it.
materials.
No, I didn't pick one up in there. I'm sorry. I apologize. Can I see that calendar for a minute, please, Janet?
Is there another one, another packet?
I didn't pick one up. I'm sorry. I grabbed mine that I had and confused with that. I apologize.
She's getting it.
I haven't looked at it really.
Well, I know she's getting it. I don't want us all to touch the same documents.
We're looking to finish the first semester before Christmas, as we've been making that attempt for the high school. Quite honestly, given all of everything that's going on with COVID and what we don't know, I think this calendar's end up going to be quite fluid.
Yes, sir. I would agree.
Do we have staff input on that from finishing before Christmas on these calendars?
Yes, because that was part of the feedback we originally surveyed back about the early start and trying to finish semester 1 before Christmas, back when we did our calendar survey. That is something that we added on there for about finishing before Christmas break.
Well, educationally, that's the best that you could ask for students, because you don't have that forgetting curve, by going into January. And there's 2 weeks off at Christmas.
By the state giving us the extra week or telling us that we had to start a week early, it really helped in that discussion. Originally, when we were having those discussions, it was too hard to try to finish the first semester before with enough instructional time. But because the state's now gone back a week, it does give us that time again. I know personally as high school teachers, many of them wanted to try to finish high school semester before Christmas break.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we approve the calendar.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Budget amendments. Ms. York?
Good evening, everyone. In your packet, you should have budget amendment number 5. I'm not sure if this is going to be our last budget amendment. I might need you by June 30th. We're getting money still every day, whether it's Medicaid deposits or CARES Act money. But as of right now, this is your final budget amendment. We're ending up at $47,726,777 and 63 cents. Do you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am.
I do have one question I'd like to ask you about, Ms. York. And this doesn't have anything to do with the budget amendment, but what are your thoughts on our current fund balance?
I think we're in well, do you want my real thoughts?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you a story. When I interviewed for the position a year ago, July 1st, I'll be here for a year. I asked my interviewers, why was our budget, why was our fund balance so low? I wanted to know why before I came in, because I thought there was an issue. I thought that we were in trouble and that there was an issue because our fund balance was so low. And the answer that I was given was that the commissioners were directing us to pay down our fund balance. My opinion in a fund balance is we should have 3 months cushion. Right now, our fund balance is, I figure we'll be ending somewhere around $750 this year. It's not 3 months. A month of expenses is, over $1.5 million. So, in my opinion, and actually our auditor's opinion, also because I know that our auditor spoke to you in December, I think it was, and said the same thing.
Yeah. I do remember him saying that, and but I believe our fund balance is higher right now than it was last year.
Well,
at the end of the year.
I did a preliminary today, and I'm still not at the end of the year, so I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you a number, but I don't believe that we used any of our fund balance that I had appropriated. So I believe that we'll have the fund balance that we started the year with, plus extra due to some COVID savings.
At some point, we need to have serious discussions with our commissioners about ways that we can work to get that fund balance up.
I agree. Thank you.
Yes, need a motion.
Approve the budget amendment number 5. I make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Ms. York. And I make the motion that we table letter H. I think we did. Okay, so we're good there until August meeting. Okay.
I'd like to, if we're going to do the consent agenda, I'd like to have one piece set out for discussion.
Yeah, well, don't we need to go to Janet's request that
Yes,
was
for
added?
COVID-19.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Rose.
I've had some parents contact me with concerns about COVID-19. I know that many things were handed down from the state, and so we kind of have to follow those rules. And, of course, I do feel that our seniors were just treated terribly and not being able to choose if they wanted a grade. They had to take that P19. I was a little perplexed to learn that we had seniors who did have A's and B's, and they had to take that P19. They had an A on a COA class. They actually got an A, not a P19. But when that A reached their high school, it was recorded as P19. And while members of our State Board of Education said, your grade cannot drop, it can't go any lower, we still had children whose GPA went down because they had to take that P19.
So part of the implications of that, and we had discussions, in fact, I had a conference call where I had Ms. Butler, Robert Griffin, myself, Dr. Matney, all on, because that was my initial concern, is that we're treating year-long AP courses different than semester-based COA courses. Because a kid who first semester, let's say, chose to take AP Environmental Science, that student goes in knowing that it's a year-long class. I'm the same student competing for number 2 in the class, and I take a COA class first semester. That COA first semester class gets counted into my GPA, as do all first semester classes. For AP courses, the state decided we're going to treat it as if we break it into 2 parts. So part 1 of that course gets a letter grade. So the first semester half of AP Environmental Science got a letter grade on that student's report card. So if I had a 93, I got a 93 for the first half of AP Environmental Science. Normally I don't. It's a year-long course. I don't get that final grade till the end. So the state said we're going to treat it as if it's 2 parts. First semester, we're not going to give them a grade for that first half of the year. However, it carries 2.5 quality points, because normally it would carry 5, right? A year-long AP course carries an extra quality point, so does a COA class. So that first semester kid taking Psych 150 at COA gets an A, gets 5 quality points for that class. The same student taking AP Earth and Environmental Science gets the A, but only gets half the quality points because it's half the course.
Well, that is not right.
We lobbied with the state. I was on a conference call with Sneha Coltrane, who was in charge of the program over there. I sent her an email. Dr. Lutz knows. I was like, yeah, I've got this breaking down. This doesn't make sense to me. Help explain it to me. Robert Griffin and Ms. Butler were on conference calls with me. We were all like, I was in a panic. I was like, this can't be right. They did the math behind the scenes, and because it's at half a credit with half the quality points, it shouldn't have negatively, it equals itself out in the long run. I don't understand how that happens.
But should we be able to take an A from COA and record it on their transcript as a P19?
Yes, because what happened was every senior, no matter if I was taking NCVPS, a class at the high school, I was at COA, their high school transcript grades all were either the PC19 or the WC19 for every single senior across the state of North Carolina. The college transcript, however, my COA transcript as that student will record the A and give me the GPA for that A on the college side of things.
Right. I've also had concerns from middle school parents whose children worked very hard, got straight A's. You know, I think a big downfall was we put out the word that your grade can't go down, it can only go up. So some kids didn't do anything from the middle of March, while others took their studies seriously. They made straight A's, and they're disappointed they didn't get the A's. I think many times we have mandates handed down from the state, and we just accept them, and we just do what they say. I know as a teacher we've had that, serving on the board, we've had that. This is a prime example. Now, I know Union County, Melissa Merle is the chairman, and they have been in touch with their state representatives to do something about this grading. So I would like to make a motion, and I don't know if I can since this wasn't on the agenda. It's just up for discussion.
Well, we amended the agenda. It's on it now.
Right. Okay. It's not on the agenda. You would need to amend the agenda to take action. Because there was no public notice the board would take action.
Okay.
For the board's general information, it's best to have items placed on the agenda before a meeting if action is anticipated. If it's not possible for some reason, you can amend the agenda at the meeting. That would require the amendment to the agenda before you vote on the item.
Well,
next time? Could we do it next time? I mean,
Well-
we won't be able to do anything about this year.
Let me just say what my thoughts are. I don't want us to keep rolling over with these state mandates when they're wrong. And this is clearly wrong for our students. And Melissa Merle, who is chairman of the Union County Board of Education, they have contacted their elected officials. I'd like for us to send a letter.
Are they going to change them?
I don't know. I know that they're not going to change anything if we don't contact them.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be my thoughts, is if we can just get a letter from our board saying that, we are concerned about how this was handled. And when you have kids ending up with a lower GPA that took 3 classes and received 2 A's and a B, and their GPA went down, something's wrong. And we just can't roll over and take this.
Well, and those concerns were heard because the State Board of Education did entertain a motion to amend that policy, especially for seniors, because they did hear some of that. And I think you heard a state board member had a son in an LEA in which it did impact because of this PCWC 19.
Yeah.
And the state board decided not to enter it again. I think because we told seniors you're done.
Right.
It's hard to go back now
And they
change
didn't want to
it.
go back.
Put that word out that said you're done.
But should this occur again, we need to let them know so that it doesn't hurt our students in the future.
Well, I think we've all learned great lessons as a result of COVID-19, and I think that in the future, I think we'll see a little bit more thought other than we're in the 9th hour, we're trying to figure some things out, we make decisions very quickly.
That conversation, this is so unusual, but we also know that we can do better.
Yeah.
If we are faced with this issue again.
I just say that I agree with Janet on this, okay? I opened my son's report card up today. Might have been sitting in the post office box there for a couple of days, but nonetheless, I opened it up and saw exactly what she just described. Bunch of A's that are now P19s. And it just looked to me like everybody got the same grade. Is that what I'm seeing? Like, if you had a grade that wasn't what you...
Grade, I
That is correct.
What I mean is, so
Every
everybody got a P19, right?
There are some students that did not. They got WC-19s.
What I mean is, assuming you were passing
That's
with a
correct.
passing grade prior to that situation, ranging from D- to A+, now they all funneled into the same grade. Is that what
That
I'm
is
understanding?
correct.
That is a very big disappointment, because that's not how life works. So, I agree with you, 100%. Disappointing. And it's a disappointment for the kids in multiple ways. The ones that were high achievers, but also the ones that weren't as high achievers that are going to get the fake sense.
There was an incentive to work towards doing better.
Yeah, but what I mean is, they're even if they would have not worked any better, they didn't see the reaction for not putting forward less or more effort, is my point. So it's not a good lesson going forward.
No.
And I was just really disappointed. I even was shaking my head this afternoon about it. But yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Dowdy.
Thank you.
Information items, we have a work session coming up.
Oh, wait.
I'm sorry.
Consent agenda.
Oh, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to,
I'd like to pull 5 out for discussion.
okay.
Capital.
So is that capital on ours? It's pay calendars.
It's capital on ours,
That's
number
capital
5.
on ours.
That's number 4 on the one.
I don't have that either.
All right, I'm looking on
The
something I
5 right
printed
here,
off
Janet.
online. Let me look at what we actually got tonight.
The revised capital outlay.
Yeah, I'm looking at 5. Yeah, I'm still looking at 5.
Okay. Okay, everybody says revised capital outlay budget?
Mine does.
Okay,
Yes,
mine
ma'am.
does, okay.
Mine.
All right, we're going to, go ahead, Dr. Lutz. Yes.
Mr. Craddock, you had a question on it?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about 5, if we could do that and then vote on the whole thing, or do we need to break it out? You tell me how you like to do it.
Are we talking about
The capital outlay?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to have to amend the consent agenda, correct? Mr. Ramey? If we want to pull something out of the consent agenda, we have to amend the consent agenda.
Yeah, my understanding is you have a long-standing practice of just pulling items from the consent agenda, so I think as long as there's a settled practice there, that's probably sufficient. Or you can have a motion. Most of the boards I work with would have a motion to amend the agenda to pull something from consent. But if you have an established practice of just pulling normally by consensus, I would not.
However, I just want to talk about the things that I'm concerned on.
All right, Mr. Craddock's going to pull item 5 out for discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Craddock.
So do we want to discuss this first? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, I recognize that we have a lot of needs and we don't have enough money. So that's very clear, and I'm saddened by that. However, I'm concerned with, I'm concerned with a lot of it, but 2 of them in particular, because I feel like out of this budget that I keep we got these 19-year-old wrestling mats at the 2 middle schools, and I think there's $16,000 to replace them. So we're talking a total of $32,000 to provide the field, if you will, for the wrestlers that we're talking about sending to Ohio for a wrestling camp. And they're 19 years old.
That was kind of discussed at the special session of the county commissioners on Monday, and basically that we didn't really think, am I correct, that we would have a wrestling.
Okay.
That's why they delayed it, but they felt like that based on the numbers that they were looking at for tourist dollars and the things that were going on, that they would be able to fund the rest of our money.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And I recognize the challenges with that. But we're going to send them to a wrestling camp. We just had a field trip request earlier this evening. We're going to Ohio for a wrestling camp, July 12th through 16th.
They think it may be.
That's a high school if they go. That's also the high school team. These are middle school wrestling mats.
What happens, though, is in order to get to be a high school wrestler, you start in middle school.
Yeah, but
That's
they
how it
don't
works.
think that's going to happen.
Well, everything that's been cut is a dire need. That track resurfacing is, accident waiting to happen. We got to get our money back from the commissioners.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm saying it's $32,000. I'd like to find $32,000 somewhere in the budget is where I'm going with it, because they're 19 years old, and it affects 2 schools, which funnel into the wrestling program that's going on a field trip. But anyways, that's where I'm going with that.
Okay, I've got a question. Larissa, what's our fund balance in capital outlay?
In my calculation today, at the end of the year, I'm predicting we'll be at $644,000.
So I would suggest that we just go ahead and take those $32,000 out of the capital outlay fund balance.
I would most appreciate that support. I feel like we put it off last year, and that's how it went from 18 to 19 years.
I also think Todd Parker will find us. I'll bet we can save some money even from there.
And I appreciate that. I just want to give them a surface to work out on that's not 2 decades old. That's where I'm at with it.
Thank you, Larissa.
And so we're going to, Todd Parker's going to get some wrestling mats. Is that what we're agreeing on here? All right.
I'll reach out to him tomorrow to start looking into them.
All right. And then the last thing that concerns me, there's many things, but I'm still having a little bit of heartburn, if you will, over spending $50,000 for playground equipment, because we paid $20,000 last year, to Central, and it's not, none of the playground equipment with the money we're spending is going to be handicap accessible. So what I would like is that they revisit that with that number. I'm not saying don't fund the number. What I'm asking is see if they can't find some accommodations that would address more than one portion of the population.
Ms. Chappell was on vacation. I didn't get it, and waiting for her to return so I can reach out to her to have that discussion.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay.
Yeah, I have a point. Would there be any possibility of any federal funding for handicap for playground? You know?
Handicap equipment for playground.
Is there special funding?
Is there any federal funding that could be available?
Maybe we could check
I'm not
into?
sure.
Okay, we'd have
Can
to
look
check
into that.
to that. Okay.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Consent.
Aye. I'm sorry. Aye.
Consent agenda is approved. Information items. We have a work session that's scheduled for August 6th at the Knapp Professional Learning Center at 4 p.m. Following the work session will be our regular Board of Education meeting August 6th here at 6:30. Board members and superintendent comments.
Before we go on to that, I have a question about information items. Did you say that we would begin next week looking at the superintendent selection process? Are we?
We do have an update with our process, our timeline. We had a projected timeline that we put into place. Of course, we have received a lot of applications, and we're going to start that process. I believe I got the update from you, Ms. Mackin. Is it the 13th of July?
I think we were supposed to get the applications to start looking over today. So I'm guessing that the end of taking applications has occurred.
That has ended, yes.
Okay.
That has ended, and we do have the applications now on file, but I was kind of taking it one thing at a time. I wanted to get this week behind us and then move forward with our application process and interviewing, setting up interviews.
Well, if we could just get that information by tomorrow or the next day, yeah.
Ms. Mackin, could you get that out to the board tomorrow, please, with the timeline? Please. Thank you. Send it to Ms. Etheridge first to review.
To me, for me to review, and I approved it today. So if you'll just share it with the rest of the board tomorrow, that'd be fine. Okay. Any other discussion concerning work session? Okay. Board member, superintendent comments. I'd like to start with Mr. Currituck.
Well, I think I'm pretty sad at the way that this whole process with Dr. Matney and probably many others went down. I'm just really sad that we can't treat our people better or respect the wishes of the majority of staff, students, and community. And I just want to say that we have other anonymous reporting going on now, and I believe that we should not act on those type of complaints if people won't attach their name to it. And I just think it's bad business. I think we deserve, the public and the students and the staff deserves better. And with that, I'll just say, God bless Currituck County, because we're going to need it.
Ms. Rose?
I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Brenda Jones and the yearbook staff. These went out this week. It's an awesome yearbook. Had a chance to look through it. I know they worked hard throughout the pandemic to make this happen. The class of 2020, proud of all of them. I'm sorry to our class of 2020 for everything you missed. You know, you did have a lot with your graduations. I want to give a shout out to Miss Fallon, Dr. Matney, and all those who helped pull off those 3 graduations. Our child nutrition staff, you folks, I wish I could give all of you something special. You have worked really hard throughout the pandemic. You took a little break, and you're right back at it, providing food for our children throughout the summer. It's been a while since we've had a greenhouse update, but I believe the greenhouse has passed final inspection.
Yay.
And they've moved the stuff from the old one, and next is demolition of the old one. And so I'm happy that the greenhouse has been completed, and our students next year will be able to enjoy that. I'd also like to give a shout out to our parliamentary procedure team with the FFA. They, under the direction of Ms. Swain and Mr. Clark Fowler, who was a student teacher last semester, they have worked with our students. Mr. Fowler finished like the end of April, 1st of May. He has continued meeting with this team once a week on Zoom to help prepare them. As a result, they placed 1st in the region, 3rd on this side of Raleigh, 4th in states, and 7 teams will be advancing to another level, including our Currituck County High School parliamentary procedure team. So I'm very proud of them, and I understand that Lindsay Daniel had the highest score on our Parley team. I would like to thank all of the folks who came out to talk to us tonight. I know it's not always easy to stand before the board and to be on television, so to speak. You're saying that you support someone or you don't, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you putting your name with your face. I appreciate all the folks who have emailed me. I believe I received 52 letters that were from parents, teachers, students. I thank you for reaching out to me. And I hope that everybody, students, teachers, administrators, I hope you all have a wonderful summer.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Dr. Dobney?
Yes, I'd like to echo Janet's comments about our food service workers and bus drivers who help keep our students fed, during this pandemic. They went the extra mile there. And the only other thing I would say, I hope everybody stays safe until we're through this.
Thank you. Ms. Kraft?
Yes, so I went to all the school sites to personally thank the nutrition workers and the bus drivers for all they were doing this summer, and so I again will reiterate what Mrs. Rose and Dr. Dobney said. I attended graduations for J.P. Knapp and the Currituck County High School. And last Thursday and this Thursday, I've sat in on 2 of the meetings of the Return to Learn work group that has been established for deciding how things are going to look next year. And I want to commend our administration, our principals, our directors, and the other staff for all the hard work that they have performed. It was amazing today, in 1 week's time, all the work that they had done. It was so very obvious, the presentations that they made, how much work they had done. So I'm just really proud of all of them. And I agree. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and sharing your thoughts. And I hope you all have a happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Dr. Lutz?
Well, when I got here to Currituck in about this time in 2015, I certainly didn't think this would be the seat that I would be in. 5 years later, I came down to be the principal of Scarborough Elementary, and but Lord had other plans, and I was here with you tonight. This is a tough meeting tonight, and we have to start healing, and we have to start moving forward. This is tough, and These are difficult times, and it's been quite the week between the Board of Commissioners meeting on Monday night and our work there, finding school sites and moving forward as a district. But I appreciate the board for having the faith in me to pick this up, and this has been 9 days, and I got to meet with each one of you and walk through things and to start to build relationships and start to have those open lines of communication, and I truly appreciate the opportunity, and whether this is a 6-week term or if it's longer than that, I really appreciate the faith you had in me to place me here.
Thank you, Dr. Lutz. Thanks to all those that have contributed to our children's education during COVID-19 and continuing to keep our children safe and our faculty stay safe. I hope everyone has a wonderful summer, and I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.